Hi, I'm Malcolm Mundy. I'm an astrologer here in Austin, Texas, and this is the Iran portion of my predictions for 2012. Iran was born as an entity on February 1st, 1979, 9:30 a.m. Tehran, Iran. This was the time that the Ayatollah Khomeini stood up and proclaimed Iran to be an Islamic republic. This was also the estimated time that the Shah of Iran was leaving and was coming to the United States. And I'll just leave it at that. This chart seems to work well. And it's kind of interesting that Iran is an Aquarius and Israel is a Taurus, because those two signs usually, while it doesn't define that all Tauruses and all Aquarians are not going to like each other, it does define that there will be some headbutting, and we're definitely seeing that going on an international basis. My favorite example of this is Jimmy Hoffa and Robert Kennedy. Robert Kennedy was a Scorpio and Jimmy Hoffa was an Aquarius, and their sun signs exactly squared each other, and Robert Kennedy reportedly said the moment that he met Jimmy Hoffa he didn't like him, even before he said a word. So it's interesting that you have that kind of animosity on a national basis per horoscope data. Anyway, Jupiter's in the first house and goes into the second house in late March. This is where I think the United States and Israel are going to go after them economically. Jupiter in the first, their own national base. The first house is the general state itself, the country, how it appears before other people, and Jupiter being the planet of expansion. Iran has grown its operations as a nation, and it's grown its main base for making money. And now Jupiter is going into the second house, which is the bank account. It is the nation's financial coffers, and this is where they're going to quote-unquote start to make money, but of course not if the United States and Israel say anything about it. Jupiter going into the second house in late March. It's going to be there for the rest of the year, and this house is ruled by Venus, and Venus is favorably placed on their chart. I think that Iran is going to unload a lot of its petroleum to China, to Japan, to Russia, and to other countries, and to India, in terms of their respective currencies, and not the US dollar. And I think you're going to see a lot of business with them, but as far as the finance side, I don't think it's going to be that spectacular. There'll be expanded business for them to make money, but I do think that the United States is going to go after them financially and economically, and I think it is going to have an effect on them. It's not going to make them go broke, but they're going to probably be treading water. So in this regard, I don't think Jupiter in the second is going to help them, but it is going to expand their international exposure for business purposes. Next we have Saturn. Saturn's going to be in the seventh house. The seventh house is one's legal system, one's court system, and international negotiations. Saturn is restrictive and the planet of hardships, and boy, are they getting that on the international stage. They have been trying to plead their case that they're victims of terrorism by the U.S. and Israel, and as accurate as it is, and they have won some friendships with the old Soviet Union and with China. Unfortunately, for business purposes, it hasn't been a sweeping type friendship, and for this reason they have had hardships trying to plead their case of the kind of victims that they're trying to portray themselves to be. And also I think you're going to see their legal system start to really clamp down, probably for their own reasons of national security. When you think of Iran, think of Cuba, and how the U.S. economically went after Cuba and created havoc for them. I think you're going to see that with Iran, and just as Cuba had horrific court systems in the name of national security, you're going to probably see that with Iran also. And you'll probably see the U.S. say, aha, we told you they were tyrants. It's like, yeah, because you made them that way. Anyway, Uranus is going to be in the 12th house, and it's going to go into the first house. Uranus rules nuclear energy, nuclear bombs, in addition to technology, inventiveness, surprises, weapons, etc. I think this is going to be indicative that their nuclear power plant is going to go online, and I think it's going to be possibly around springtime of this year, and they'll probably showcase it, and of course you're going to see the US and Israel respond to this. And also you're going to see them maybe become more technologically savvy with the use of the nuclear plant in terms of offering more use of technology within their country. And but again, this is not going to be anything that's going to really foster spectacular growth, because I think they are going to be under economic attack. Next we come under Neptune. Neptune is going to be in the 12th house. The 12th house on a country's chart, as I talked about with the United States, is the institutions such as prisons, hospitals, and yes, mosques and churches. I think you're going to see expansion of these areas, and especially hospitals, and this will probably be another area they're going to try to showcase. But again, keep in mind they're going to be under economic attack, so nothing spectacular in this area, although that's going to probably be the next phase after the completion of their power plant. Then we have Pluto. Pluto's going to be in the 10th house all year. Ahmadinejad is not going anywhere. He's going to be attacked. He's going to be looked upon as the new Satan, just as Fidel Castro was. But he, like Castro, he is not going anywhere. I think the government policy is going to stay the same, and it's going to be pretty much a tyranny over their people, not really that much similar than the current United States policy has over its citizens in terms of allowing legal representation, which in some cases will be not. And I think that's it for now with Iran. We're now going to go to the People's Republic of China.